Multilingual learners benefit when teachers frame disciplinary ideas and practices around contexts and perspectives that are meaningful and relevant to them. Context, too often ignored or silenced. But how can teachers make this happen? In this video, we'll break down the practice of framing, see how multilingual learners interact with texts and ideas through the framing context, and watch as two pre-service math teachers try framing instruction themselves. To start, you need to know the disciplinary idea and practices that you want your students to learn and apply. Holly Retzinger, a high school ethnic studies English teacher, describes her framing.
So what I would like them to be doing at this point is to start recognizing how throughout the entire book of The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas, the narrator, Star Carter, and other characters, in particular her dad and Devante and even Khalil, who dies at the beginning, they have been experiencing all these negative forces in their lives, which we call the 4 Eyes of Oppression, one of the ethnic studies frameworks. So they've been kind of talking about that and analyzing that, but at this point I want them to start being able to recognize how they are overcoming these or combating these forces with these assets called cultural wealth that they have in their lives.
Watch Holly Retzinger use the 4 Eyes of Oppression and cultural wealth to frame how students analyze quotations. Notice teaching moves that support all students, but are critical for multilingual learners in interacting with the text and with each other.
So you're going to get into a group of 2 or 3 students and move around the room analyzing one of the quotes from this chunk of the novel. In your group, you're going to read the quote, identify context, and then write a response. And I'll walk you through that as always using the slides. So you do need to bring at least one copy of the book with you. And then before you get up and move, I'm going to ask that one person in your group just grabs the colored pen that I brought around. Okay, so this is going to be your color the entire time. And that's actually how I grade you. So remember at the end, you mark down your group's color for me. Remember when you begin, you're going to start with context. So on your first quote, your only job is to do the context. So you're going to have to read the quote, you're going to have to look at the page number, figure out what's happening, who is speaking, what's going on, and then I do have the sentence stems up here for you to refer to. Cultural wealth, I feel like you know it pretty well. You also have the anchor chart further back in your notebook, or you can look up here for the different types of cultural wealth.
And then the mom's like talking to him, and then she said, "This is exactly what they expect to do." Mama says, 2 kids from Garden Heights acting like they ain't got any sense. So we could put first.
Should I write it?
Yeah, put in this part of this.
These are different quotes.
Different orders. Put in this part of the book.
Now that you have one sentence of analysis, now is when you can add that in. So you want to start by reading the context, read the quote, read the sentence of analysis that the previous group has provided, and then add to it. And you can do whatever you want here. You can identify a type of oppression. You can identify some cultural wealth. You can do both. You can do something else. So use your pink sheet to find some sentence stems for analysis if you need it. You can look up here at the slide. You can start with "This reveals how Star experiences internalized depression because," or "This example illustrates navigational capital because," or "by," or something else. Okay? So I'm going to let you get started.
Could it be more than one, or is that only be one?
I was thinking of this one first, but
Institutional?
yeah.
How come?
Well, it's just like it has to do something how her kindness treated in society. Yeah.
So the oppression is coming from the institution at large, and then
Or you can have just reviews, how star experiences. Or you could change the experiences and put how Star uses her familial capital to overcome institutional oppression.
But how do we personalize the framing so that students connect their own lived experiences to the disciplinary ideas they are learning?
In my class in general, the way I usually bring that in with the content is getting them to do that, either connect with the characters or make a connection to, I'll bring in like a real event in the world, like something that recently there were a couple of young adults who, and I think they were recently maybe even teenagers, who were challenging that their wages from Subway sandwiches, and there was this whole legal battle that happened, and so we bring stuff like that in, and they try and identify the types of oppression or the cultural wealth or the framework that's happening, but they also have to kind of like connect to it, like, oh my gosh. And so I'm always trying to get them to like bring that back to what their lived experience is.
This time, let's learn how math teacher Donna Fernandez uses Navajo rugs as the context to frame a high school math lesson on symmetry.
The essence of it was to, I like what Holly was talking about with ethnic studies, is to build their cultural knowledge and wealth and show them most likely something that they have not seen before, but looking at it from a mathematical lens, they quickly saw that it's a pictorial or has very much geometric designs in it, so they can see then the symmetry in it. And I wanted them to relate that to what they've been doing in the classroom with looking at the transformations. So this one gave them a chance to see it from a cultural perspective, just how the geometry in the rug can either reflect horizontally or vertically. But and introducing the rug from the Navajo Nation and giving it an opportunity to find out where it's from. And that, I know that took a little bit of time, but it was, for me, it's worth it because they don't, some of them thought it was from California or thought the Navajo Nation was from California. And they didn't have a sense of where this actually was until we actually saw it on a map. So it's good for them to see that and then give them a little bit of history that the Navajo Nation is the largest in the United States and that it actually covers four different states.
After observing several teachers and teacher educators, it's time for Daniel and Adrian, two math pre-service teachers, to practice working with students. Pay attention to all the linguistic resources, including gestures and strategies they use to support multilingual learners.
So right now, we just did K, so we're going to go to L. Can you draw an L, see if it has any symmetry in it? Can you draw the letter L? ¿Lo prefieres español? Sí. Okay. Estamos usando el abecedario para ver si los lados son simétricos. Entonces estamos en la letra L. ¿Puedes escribir la letra L? Sí. Okay. ¿Quieres que esa letra tiene simetría? ¿Puedes cortarla de alguna manera para que los dos lados sean iguales? ¿No? Entonces, ¿quieres que es simétrica? Entonces, ¿va a ser simétrica? ¿No la puedes cortar igual las dos mitades? Si son simétricas como estas, van a ser iguales de los dos lados. Y me dices que no la puedes partir en ninguna manera para que sea igual de los dos lados, ¿verdad? Entonces no es simétrica.
But I totally agree with you. So vertical's up and down, what's left to right? What's that called?
X-axis.
That's true, but like the opposite of vertical. Remember what that's called? So it's an H.
Horizontal.
Yeah, horizontal. Like when you're looking at the sunset, that's like the horizon.
I counted how much.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so if we're looking here on Dominic's board, Dominic's got the whole alphabet right here. And so he's got the ones that have vertical, and then did he say anything about what C has on his board? See what C has?
C?
Yeah. Does it have any symmetry? Yeah, what kind of symmetry?
Finally, Daniel and Adrian were asked to get student feedback on how they plan to frame a future math lesson.
For example, let's say I do the survey and it turns out that the students that are from Hispanic or Latino communities are performing worse. Would you want like as students to like come up with a solution as like how you can improve that? Yeah, would you want to do that as a school project? And then would they do anything after they talk? Would they present it to anyone? Who do you think could make that difference?
Probably the other students and then like the principal.
So they would present to other students?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me quickly catch Omar. So Omar, estoy haciendo una lección que voy a presentar a mis estudiantes. Mis estudiantes son del grado 8 y van a aprender sobre statistics, so, estadísticas. Y entonces quiero darles preguntas anónimas para que me den información sobre información personal, pero no va a tener su nombre para poder presentar las formas como gráficas. Podemos analizar esas gráficas y ver si hay alguna tendencia con que podemos hacer un proyecto. Por ejemplo, en la escuela de un trabajo hay muchos estudiantes que son latinos, entonces quiero ver si al ser latino el estudiante es afectado en alguna manera.
Yourself, your experiences, or your identity that you feel like could come out in this activity. It's local? Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to start the conversation. I want to talk about with my students, like, Fulton and Guerneville, that always gets so crowded, and oh my gosh, that light over there, it always takes so long, just talking about our neighborhood, the different places that we visit and what we wish we could change about it. And so that's where I want my students to pull inspiration from, right? Like, this is what I would do if I could change it. Do you feel like the math portion of it is doable? So again, we're writing equations, and then we're gonna solve the systems. So the equation for Guerneville and the equation for Fulton, we're gonna solve that system in order to find out where they intersect. Does that feel like something that could be doable?
Discussion questions. After seeing some examples, what does framing mean to you, and why does it matter for multilingual learners? What's a framing context that can work for your subject area? How might that framing context connect to the lived experiences of some or all of your students? How might multilingual learners employ their full linguistic repertoire to make even deeper connections to the framing context?